Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it's time for the weekly track Roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and the worst tracks of the week. It's your boy. It's your usual boy who does these things, Anthony Fantano. I hope you're doing well. All right, let's get into it. Okay. Typically we go into our Amazon and Turntable Lab links at this point, though here we go. Amazon, Turntable Lab links. They're down there in the description box. Treat yourselves. And let's get into the worst tracks of the week, as usual. Worst tracks of the week. That's what we do. First, we are starting off with this new single, Pineapple, from Dolla featuring Gucci Mane and Quavo. Excruciatingly, half-assed chorus on this one. And it really is so obnoxious that it ruins the entire song. I feel like Ty himself is the least impressive thing about his own track, which is really the worst position to be in when you come out with a new kind of promotional single. So at least Gucci Mane at the front end of the song was sounding smooth. I'll say that much. New track from Matty. Who you may know as the keyboard player of Bad Bad Not Good. He's embarking on some solo material. Has a new song out called Embarrassed. It's kind of just a very washed out, slow, summery, just dreamy pop sound that I don't care too much for. I don't know. I mean, dude has hella chops on the keys, but this first solo foray into solo material, at least from what I understand, just sounded super generic and just really underwritten. Kind of surprised that he didn't go back to the drawing board on this one. New CHVRCHES track, Never Say Die. Every album CHVRCHES come out with, while their first record had some commendable tracks on it, the further they go down the road, the more they just sound like a generic electropop outfit. And this new single is essentially peak generic electropop, really just kind of a throwaway track whose lyrics are so tedious and redundant on the chorus. It sort of makes you wonder why they didn't try to rewrite the hook, given that it's going to be the most important part of the song. Then Cardi B, a new track out, Be Careful. I don't really know what kind of numbers this new song is doing as of right now, but this track cannot possibly do as well as all of the huge chart climbing number one hits she's had so far. Not only does this track sound underproduced, her vocal delivery on it is super underwhelming. She almost sounds like she's amateurish on the track, or as if she hasn't been rapping pretty consistently for the past couple of years. It's like she's regressed a little bit in terms of her energy and her delivery and her charisma. And then on top of it, the story in the song, which is probably the most compelling thing about the track, isn't even really that interesting. I mean, the track is all about being heartbroken and being mistreated in kind of a romantic relationship. And while I guess I feel for the sentiment of the song, Cardi B just does not sound as interesting and as hard-hitting and as exciting as she typically does on a track. Maybe that has to do with her trying to go really introspective and kind of vulnerable on this song, which is a welcome change of pace, but still, it doesn't help the fact that the track just sounds like it's mixed very low budget and produced very low budget. Just not really the exciting, hard-hitting sounds that have kind of brought her to where she is today. I'm sure there's some hardcore fans that are going to follow her down this road, but I don't know. There's just something about her presence on this song that leaves something to be desired, and I will leave it at that. And also this new A$AP Rocky track featuring BlocBoy JB. A$AP Rocky progressively sounds worse and worse and worse on his own music. I really don't know what it is. I could barely make it through the entirety of this song because A$AP's portion of the track on the front end is so painfully bad that it basically makes the entire song just not listenable. I don't know what happened with A$AP Rocky, unfortunately. I feel like he was almost like given access to maybe like 45 minutes of fame instead of 15, because, you know, you had that initial tape that was fantastic. Follow-up commercial record was really good. And then all of a sudden it just started going, oh no, what happened? Oh, the music isn't that good anymore. Oh man, oh fuck. Like, again, every single time the dude drops a new single, it's just a mess. Like, the tune isn't there, his lyrics stink. And on this particular track, he's like doing these weird warbly auto-tune vocals that just sound awful. Yeah, dude, every new track this guy comes out with, total throwaway. Despite the fact that back in the day, like, he was just pumping out hits. Just had great songs. Whether he was kind of the genius behind that or somebody else was, I don't know. But wherever that genius is, it's not here now. It's not on this track. Let's move on to the tracks I thought were kind of meh. Not terrible, but definitely worth mentioning and shouting out. A new Wye Oak track, Lifer, is probably the most I've enjoyed a song from them in a while. The lead vocals are a bit more animated than they typically are on a Wye Oak song, whose sound is typically very spacey and dreamy. I would actually say this is one of their more lively tracks, very passionate, sad, moody instrumentation. That's kind of a little thrilling. I liked it quite a bit. It has me like maybe looking forward to the new album, like a touch. Moving on from there, this new track from Smokepurpp and Murda Beatz featuring Lil Yachty and Offset. It's a banger. It's got a lot of slick lyrics on it, but it's just 2 minutes and change. There's not a whole lot of structure to it, not like a big, massive hook to it or anything. You know, I think these new Smokepurpp and Murda tracks are decent, but they don't quite have the rawness of a lot of the tracks on Dead Star, and that has me a little concerned, even if the material has been, like, okay. Next, Hinds have a new track out titled Finally Floating. You know, more fuzzy, buzzy, very fun, carefree, garage pop from the Spanish quartet. Continuing to dig what they're doing. You know, might cover the new album when it drops. Thought this new track from Daryl Hall and John Oates with Train was actually not as bad as it could have been. Kind of brings back those old nostalgic days of the 70s and 80s when Hall & Oates were just writing some of their best stuff. But no, I mean, it was a cute little single. You know, it was catchy. The vocal work was great. The instrumentation was really feel good. You know, they just kind of have that same, you know, nothing's really wrong, everything's just like a paradise type of vibe that Hall & Oates used to bring back in the day. So it's not a bad track. I'll say like there were some moments where they sounded like very aged, you know, but the tune was there. So after that, Blue and Nottz have a new track out titled Yesterday, featuring Sene and Elisa Meri. And, you know, it's kind of very underground, somewhat raw and rugged, jazzy, very lyrical, just like two MCs just head-to-head, just spitting nonstop bars back-to-back on a single cut. Nothing too crazy about it in terms of structure or anything, but some of the sampling was actually quite smart, the way that they worked, you know, the melody into the whole Yesterday theme and the title of the song I thought was pretty cool. And At the Gates have probably the best new single out titled A Stair Bound in Stone from their forthcoming record. If you're into metal music, that's very propulsive, very straightforward, very in your face, and quite melodic. Make sure you check this one out. And let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best ones this week. We are blowing through this episode. Excuse me. All right, new Tyler, the Creator, OKRA. The track that everybody's like so hyped for this week. Anthony, what do you think of OKRA? OKRA came out. OKRA, Anthony. OKRA. Well, one, there's this amazing Jamaican vegan spot around the way from where I live, and they make some fucking awesome okra. I'll say that much. But as far as the track, Tyler goes into a somewhat unexpected direction on the song. I mean, he's made hard-hitting tracks before, but this track is a legit trap banger, but has those kind of quirky, buzzy, kind of punky qualities that you look for in a Tyler track. So, and obviously there's that weird piano break in the middle of all of these verses that's a little kind of ominous and sour and awkward, which is kind of another one of Tyler's musical calling cards. The song is just 2 minutes and change. And in the description of the song itself on YouTube, Tyler describes the track as a throwaway track. So I'm not really sure if this song is going to be indicative of a sound or a direction he's going to be moving in, or if this song is going to be landing on anything. My guess right now is most likely not. However, I feel like the reason, even though this is a throwaway track, maybe we can just kind of call it a non-album track at this point. The reason this track is coming out is because Tyler, at this point, with the success of Flower Boy behind him, has a lot to brag about. And that's essentially, I guess, the entire purpose of the song. Like, you look at the lyrics, you look at the visuals in the video, the whole thing is just like, I'm the fucking best. I'm fucking awesome. Timothy Chalamet, come get this bitch. Like, he is just fucking bragging on another level. Of course, Tyler has written braggadocious bars before. You know, we know about how many people Tyler has slept with and when they sleep with him, and, you know, how many stairs or floors his house has, and so on and so forth. Like, we've heard it before, but this is just like, again, it's on another level. And on top of it, just the flashiness of all the visuals and just like the gold and the clothing and the chains, like things that we haven't typically seen Tyler cover himself in. And again, I think it's all for the sake of just like flexing so fucking hard on this song and in this music video. This is like Tyler's hardest flex ever. So, you know, the song isn't that substantive. It's got some fun bars, and I feel like the way they kind of maybe pitched his voice, or how he kind of delivered his voice in a somewhat higher register, definitely brought the song an interesting kind of quirk and freshness, and, you know, definitely a little different for him. It's definitely not, you know, a throwaway track as far as its quality. You know, maybe for Tyler, it's not like worth putting onto a record because it doesn't really tie into anything thematically, and it's just kind of a standalone piece where he's just like getting in your face and just showing off just like how well he's doing. But still, like, as a tune, in terms of its flow, in terms of its energy, in terms of its production, I thought it was really good. So, I mean, even if he does continue onto a different path into the future thematically, I hope he's able to kind of bring at least some of these things into whatever musical direction he's moving into. Because at the end of the day, I did like the vibe of the track a lot. Moving on from there. The Lemon Twigs, Foolin' Around and Tailor Made. The Lemon Twigs are a music duo that up until this point I didn't really take too seriously. They just sort of sounded like a less interesting Foxygen to my ears, but like somehow quirkier and sillier, like almost like they were like a joke duo or something to an extent. But they have a couple new tracks out, and this one, namely Foolin' Around, has this amazing like hard rock, classic rock style to it, and all of those eccentric qualities that I heard in their music prior come through in a big way. But I don't know, they're just electrifying. They just work this time. I just push you guys and urge you guys to check the Lemon Twigs' latest stuff out, because they are doing some interesting things, and I feel like they could potentially be part of a growing trend of artists kind of revisiting a lot of these sounds of rock and glam rock and pop rock from the past, but like bringing them back with a certain level of flair and style. Next, I got to thank Accelerator for this one. They put on this excellent little techno track from JourneyDeep, Evolve, Quite Right. This track is a banger. The sounds, the production on this track are fantastic. Like, this is a fucking awesome, like, twisted, winding little dance piece with a lot of character to it. I'll say that there's some good phases to the structure of the song too, and don't really have anything else to say other than that. It's just like a really great piece of techno. Moving on from there, John Prine has a new record coming out very soon, and this song that he's recently dropped from the record, God Only Knows, is a pretty quality track. It's got some nice, endearing, heartwarming background vocals, some very rustic, but I guess a gently played country rock instrumentation. It's got a good vibe to it, and it's got me looking forward to the new record. And I think this might be the last one over here. Nope, second to last. This is the new IDK track featuring Joey Badass and Russ. It's a total banger, and it's kind of hilarious that this track would come out around this time. not having anything to do with Joey or IDK, whose performances, especially IDK's on the first leg of the track, are fantastic. But Russ follows up the back end of this song, which understandably so. I've been seeing a lot of people give IDK a hard time for this since he released this song. But to be fair, Russ's performance on the track is actually not bad. You know, he's almost got, you know, I got to look for a second just to verify this. But there was something about Russ's rapping on the track that just reminded me of almost like that rapper Despot. You know, I don't know if that was like a I guess a conscious influence or anything on the song. Yeah, it seems like Russ is from New Jersey, but there was just like something that was so like so New York hip hop, but like late 2000s, like earlier this decade, you know. And still, whatever. At the end of the day, I thought his delivery was really good. Some of his bars were pretty sharp, so I'll just leave it at that. It wasn't a bad performance. You know, he followed up the back end of the track really well, and it was pretty ear-catching, you know, at least more ear-catching than I'm usually used to hearing him at. And moving on from there, we have this new track from Hot Dad, a track tributing Shania Twain, singer-songwriter Shania Twain. And this song is not only just another quality track written in his typical throwback 80s kind of new wave synth pop style, but all the lyrics have been lifted from comments or just communiques left on the Shania Twain Facebook page. So, of course, the lyrics are fucking amazing and weird as hell too. And I will just I'll just leave it at that. I love the song a lot. I think it's really great. And miraculously, some of the lyrics, or rather the posts on the Shania Twain Facebook page, work really well as lyrics to songs. Namely, the one that Hot Dad uses as the title to the track. So. And that, my friends, is the weekly track roundup. Remember, once again, our Amazon and Turntable Lab links are down there in the description box. And I hope you guys got some good recommendations out of this episode. You're the best. Love you. Forever.